Well, we are at halftime. It is the first game of the year, and we are doing what we typically do right about this time of year. Talk to AD and soccer coach, and man, you got all kinds of caps you wear there in Bayside Academy. Jamie Ferguson, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
All right, let's talk. Might as well start with football since we're here in the start of the season. Um, Last year, great year. Lose in the first round of the postseason. And the way Bayside Academy is these days, you're not used to losing early in postseason. So let's go back, assess last year, and take a look at this year. Which, by the way, I think you've moved from 4A to 3A. So let's take a look at this year and what you're anticipating for the football season.
Yeah, so overall last year, very very happy with how the season progressed. Obviously, you always want to go deeper into the playoffs, but for the new staff, Coach Trotter came in, did an amazing job. A lot of the seeds and a lot of the work he's planting will pay off. Not immediate, but in the long run. I see the effort and the work they're putting in. So, from my end, super happy with the staff, what they've instilled, but then really happy with the product of how they're raising these young men. The standards, what we expect from them. Off the field. So I'm really happy with how the first season under the Trotter regime went.
All right, let's go to another sport that, man, it had to end eventually. And that, of course, was the string of volleyball state championships for Bayside Academy. I know there is a great disappointment at ending a national record, 20 plus years of winning state championships. But is there kind of man, I hate to say a sense of relief, but there was so much pressure from winning year after year. Is there that kind of sense of relief? And what's the volleyball program looking like this year?
So obviously, when it happened, I mean, it was fresh. The wound was fresh. That's it's a painful one for the coach, Coach Schilling, and it's a painful one for the girls. I have to tell you, obviously, I love watching this team. I love watching Coach Schilling operate this program. They were so close. When I say they were close, what a contest that was in the semifinal. It could have went either way. But now that time has passed, Coach and I have talked about this. There is this kind of air of like, freedom with this group of girls now, because every year there's that kind of, weight on your back when you go in. We've got to continue this. She has a remarkable group of young ladies. And the thing that I keep reminding Anne is, winning these state titles is just an unbelievable feat. But the thing that I see from, partially being on the outside looking into her program, I mean, I'm around a lot. What she teaches these young ladies in self-confidence, how they carry themselves, how they comport themselves. I mean, that is truly like the trophy of her program. She does a remarkable job with these women, and we are excited to see how they do this year. They'll start the season off with a tough one at Oak Mountain, and then the Bodie tournament. And all of our athletic teams at this moment in time, they're just at that point where we need to start playing games. We've beat each other up enough right now on the field and in the court, in the gym. So we need to start playing. But yeah, exciting times. Anne is obviously full tilt. She will bounce back. We will bounce back from that disappointment last year, and I have full faith that success is just around the corner for her.
And just as I was about to bring up the backdrop, it almost faded out. But this happened a year ago. That is the state championship for the soccer team, carrying some state championship hardware.
Okay.
That's from your website. So, okay, give us some insight into soccer. Another one of those very successful programs at Bayside.
Well, thank you. I couldn't see what was behind you, so sorry. It wasn't truly expected this past year. A lot of people on the outside were not expecting it. We were ranked number one going into the season, but when people started to see how young we truly were. I mean, I had a starting seventh grader and two starting eighth graders. We went out going into the postseason. We were outside the top 10. But I cannot stress enough how brilliant these young men were in the postseason. They grasped the concept and the idea that myself and the coaching staff laid upon them. What's going to work best for us, and boy, did they knock it out the park. So you don't realize how awesome God is in your life until you look backwards, and you see all the brilliance. This is one of those stories where we look back and we've obviously won quite a few state championships, but when we look back, we'll probably be like, man, this one was remarkable when you look back. So credit to them, credit to all of them, even the older players, for sticking with it and being patient. It was a tough spring. But very proud of them. I'm just fortunate to be a part of it.
And by the way, over the course of the season, we'll talk to coaches and bring up other programs because there's so many great athletic programs: baseball, basketball, track and field, cross country, and golf. But I did want to ask before we get into some of the stuff that has happened at Bayside, because you brought up some of the new amenities, I guess, there at the stadium before we went on air. I do want to ask how in the heck you do it at Bayside, though, because there are other schools that may have even better athletes in some instances, but you are able to consistently produce championship quality teams across the board, not just with one particular sport, but a multiplicity of sports. So I got a feeling I'm not the first to ask you, but how do you do it?
Man, I have to tell you, I truly mean this when I say it. I'm very fortunate. I do believe I have, one of the best coaching staffs, not just in the state, I mean region and larger. I have a fine group of leaders on this campus, and we have one mission. We have a mission within ourselves that we want to be servant leaders as coaches. We want to project that onto our athletes, from that, we also have a great partnership and relationship with the parents. We cannot lose these children at the dinner table, because then the wheels come off. So we are a really tight family community. We're a partnership with these families in raising these young men and women to be good athletes and good men and women and husbands and wives for later on. But I have a terrific coaching staff that we're all on the same page, and we have a willingness to share our athletes. Volleyball players playing basketball, football players playing basketball, baseball, soccer players playing golf, football players wrestling. We have, I think 88% of our upper school play one sport, and I think we're at mid 60s. 65% play two sports, and then we were around about the 38% play three sports. We're pretty blessed.
All right, I mentioned the technological changes that are coming in the way in this era in which we live. If you implemented something in 2023, it's now archaic in 2024. So when you go to the stadium, you're making buys of concession stand goods, you purchase tickets. Is there new technology that we need to make ourselves aware of when making those buys?
Yeah, so we're in the process of we've got a new concession stand, so that's all going to be credit card, cash, however you want. We've got all of our games are on GoFan. We always offer cash at our entries as well. We have a shop in our concession stand. It's like a shop boutique where you can buy merchandise, and that's cash or card. So we're trying to keep up with the times. Cash is obviously always going to be available. But a lot of people these days using the credit cards.
Before we leave, first of all, thank you for the conversation. Secondly, I got to get your prediction. What is acceptable in this football season at Bayside Academy? Are you looking at a win-loss record? Are you looking at a certain point in postseason? What makes it a successful year for you?
Man, if I have to be totally honest, successful seasons for all of our programs is, how do you comport yourself? how do you play, and then how do you deal with adversity? Because it's coming. You could be winning and lose the last game, but if you don't deal with that last loss well, then how well are we teaching these young men if they don't deal with that last contest? So you always have. Coach has his gauge. Coach has his gauge of what he wants it to look like, and I have full trust in him. I would love them to go deep into the playoffs. I think the boys are believing in it. I think the coaches are obviously believing in it also and pushing it. I look at it from maybe a higher altitude, and they want to get somewhere. My thing is, how are they getting there? How are we getting there now? But how are we also planting the seed of that conveyor belt all the way down? We can't just focus on the now and forget about the next and later on. So I have a broader look at it. So, man, I see every day as a tool to measure how successful we're doing. And right now, I could not applaud this coaching staff anymore. Terrific.
Jamie Ferguson, AD at Bayside Academy, thank you so much for the opportunity to talk, to
Yes,
stream.
sir.
I think this is 4 or 5 years now that we've been involved at Bayside Academy. And we're recording this in advance, obviously. So I'll look for you on Friday.
Yes, sir. Look forward to it. Thanks for partnering with us again.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.